Hello, my friends, and welcome to Life After 55. This is episode 4, titled Natural Help and Hope for Arthritis. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to give you a quick apology. This video is a little bit late. I said in the last episode that I was going to try to have a video out every Wednesday or Thursday, and today is Monday, so I missed the Wednesday and Thursday deadline, so to speak, but I apologize for that. It's been my bookkeeping business has been keeping me hopping. Quarterly taxes are due, or were due. Actually, they were due today and tomorrow, but I've gotten a lot of last minute things where I had to file people's taxes for them and that sort of thing. Not that that's any, of your concern or whatever, but I don't know. I guess I'm trying to shift the blame from me, but it is my fault. But anyways, if you're over 50 and you're living with arthritis pain, this episode is just for you. We're going to talk about natural ways to ease inflammation, regain mobility, and support your healing, both physically, spiritually, and last but not least, emotionally. But I also want to encourage you to stay with me all the way to the end of this video, because not just because it helps others find the video, but because at the end, I'm going to be reading a brief but powerful story from the Gospel of John, and it's the healing at the Pool of Bethesda. This is where Jesus speaks directly to a man who had been suffering for 38 years. That story might just be the blessing you didn't know that you needed today. Hopefully it is. So let's begin. All right, we're going to start out with what is arthritis. Arthritis is one of the most common health conditions among older adults. It's an umbrella term for joint inflammation, pain, and stiffness. And again, if you have it, you know what I'm talking about. Now, there are over 100 different types, but two of the most common are osteoarthritis, caused by wear and tear on your joints, and there's rheumatoid arthritis, or RA, which is autoimmune, meaning that your immune system attacks the joints by mistake from the inside of you. Both can cause pain, swelling, and reduced movement, and they tend to get worse over time, unfortunately, if left unaddressed. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, you know what? Let me shrink myself down so you guys can see this better, see the slides better. I apologize for that. Anyways, RA isn't just about sore joints. It can also cause a lot of other things like fatigue. It causes brain fog in some cases, muscle loss, lung issues. And if you watched the last episode of Life After 55, we did an episode about COPD, which is obviously your lungs. And, if you have rheumatoid arthritis on top of that, it doesn't help. And it even causes bone thinning, and that would be the osteoporosis that a lot of people have. Now, some people with RA develop what they call Sjogren's syndrome, which that causes dryness in the eyes and mouth due to the immune system attacks on moisture-producing glands. Now, that's relatively rare, but it does happen. And essentially, it's a whole body condition, and we need a whole body approach to support healing. Okay? So the three natural healing, what I call the three powerful roots to focus on when it comes to natural relief for rheumatoid arthritis. One is the immune system balance. The other one is gut health, and the last one is stress reduction. And I like to think of these as the roots of a tree. When the roots are healthy, everything else improves, including inflammation, pain, and your energy. Okay? So let's start out with gut health. Now, I don't know if you were aware of this or not, and probably a lot of you are, but if you're not, this will be educational for you, hopefully. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, and this is called microbiome. It plays a major role in your immune system. When your gut bacteria gets out of balance, the gut lining can become leaky, and that allows toxins and inflammation to leak into the bloodstream where they can trigger or worsen your RA. One gut bacteria called Prevotella copri is found in higher amounts in people with rheumatoid arthritis. So when you heal your gut, you help to calm your RA. All right, another thing that surprised me when I was first looking into arthritis was stress. To me, again, this was surprising, but RA has been linked to stressful experiences early in life, like trauma, abuse, neglect, or abandonment. Why? According to the studies that I've read, it's because childhood stress changes the way your body handles long term stress. It changes the way your body handles inflammation as well. People with early life stress are twice as likely to develop RA later on, according to the studies that I read. So I personally found that kind of surprising. I wouldn't have thought, early life stress had anything to do with arthritis. That was the last connection I would have made, but apparently it's so. Anyways, that's why part of healing arthritis naturally is not just changing your diet, but also tending to your heart, your story, and your spirit. Okay? All right. You can lower inflammation dramatically by changing what you eat. An anti-inflammatory diet includes things like, lots of vegetables, fruits. Bone broth is good for arthritis, believe it or not. And healthy fats like olive oil and omega-3s that you get in a lot of fish, especially like salmon and things like that. Gluten-free grains and legumes, and very little sugar, processed food, or fried food. Those things are not good for you if you have arthritis. It's not good for your inflammation. Basically, it would be similar to being on a Mediterranean diet with extra gut support. And yes, food really can help you feel better. Now, the other thing is, when I first thought that I had arthritis, and I don't think I have rheumatoid arthritis, I think I just have regular osteoporosis arthritis or osteoarthritis. I tried this elimination diet, okay? And if you're not sure which foods are helping and which foods are hurting you, this could be your ticket to find out, what the right answer for you would be. And basically, this is how it works. First of all, you've got to avoid common inflammatory foods for 28 days. This is what I did. Okay, and this has kind of been recommended by others. I didn't invent this or anything by any stretch of the imagination. But you've got to eliminate processed foods. There's dairy, and I'm looking at the slide now. Eggs, meat, sugar, anything with food coloring in it, chocolate. I know that's a biggie for a lot of people. Caffeine, and then alcohol. If you eliminate those things, especially, you'll see where I circled dairy and I circled sugar. If you eliminate those things, for 28 days and then reintroduce them one by one, and again, a lot of you may not drink, a lot of you may not do coffee or anything like that, and a lot of you may not like chocolate. But anyways, out of these things, whatever it is you do eat, try eliminating them for 28 days and then reintroduce them one by one, okay? And then once you reintroduce them, you got to watch for symptoms, especially joint pain within 48 hours. Because if that happens, then you know, for example, if you quit eggs and then you reintroduce eggs, you know, within 48 hours of reintroducing eggs, if you have joint pain, you're going to know that that's something you probably should stay away from. All right? And so on and so forth down the line here. It gives you a personalized list of what's triggering your flare ups. It takes a little time, you know, again, because you got to go a month or so, but the results can be life changing and they could certainly, you know, be very helpful to you if you have very painful arthritis, which a lot of people do. All right. Now, we talked about the gut earlier, and, you know, to help support your gut health, you got to eat fermented foods like sauerkraut, kefir, and kombucha. All right, and you can add probiotic supplements as well. They also recommend you drink bone broth or collagen, and you reduce sugar and alcohol, which feeds back bad bacteria in your gut. And the better your gut works, the better your immune system and joints will function. Okay? And I know a lot of that is yuck, you know, but it is what it is. All right, exercise. This is another thing that may sound tough when you're in pain, but believe me, it helps more than you think. Studies show that water aerobics 3 times a week reduced pain and improved movement. Walking 3 or 4 times a week lifted mood and eased stiffness, believe it or not. Mobility exercises help maintain range of motion. And Tai Chi gently increases balance and keeps you calm. You don't have to go hard. Just keep moving in a way that's kind to your body. You know, and again, if you're in pain, I understand that it's going to be difficult to walk or you know, do water aerobics or whatever. But if you can at least move a little bit, you know, every day or every other day and start moving some more, you'll see it'll definitely make a difference. It has for me, and I'm not certainly any gym rat or anything like that. But you know, I do like chair yoga and things like that, and I try to walk now with the COPD that I have. Walking is strenuous to say the least. And again, I've been diagnosed with moderate COPD. And you know, I'm not on oxygen or anything yet, knock wood. But walking, you know, a little as much as I can, you know, within reason, you know, and it's not like I'm doing a New York marathon or anything like that. Believe me, that ship has sailed, as they say. But I mean, I deal with it, and this is kind of the same thing. It does feel better I mean, doing it at the time, to be honest, doesn't feel that great while you're doing it, but afterwards you do feel better. At least I do. So I'm just sort of recommending that. Take that with a grain of salt, as they say. And there's other things too. You know, there's a lot of, you know, getting into the natural remedies and the herbal support. There's a lot of things. Herbs and medicinal mushrooms can bring extra relief. A lot of these, you know, some of these include turmeric, ginger, boswellia. Those are all for inflammation. Then there's reishi, there's lion's mane, there's cordyceps, mushrooms. Those, I don't know. We'll get into that in a minute. Those are for immunity and for energy. And then white button mushrooms and probiotic-rich herbs are for your gut health. You can find a lot of these as teas, powders, or tinctures. And if you want help finding any of this stuff, you know, and what's right for you, drop me a comment or send me a message. You can email me. The email should be in the comment or right below the description or whatever. But anyways, if you do need help with any of that, send me a message, either email or leave a comment, and I do read them and everything, and I will point you in the right direction. All right, so that's pretty much the overview of the arthritis episode. And again, if we can go into a lot more detail, especially with some of the things I mentioned, like the turmeric, the boswellia, and all that, the reishi and stuff, and the cordyceps mushrooms. These are all, like I said, they're for immunity, they're probiotics and all that, and they're rich for your gut health, essentially. And like I said, a lot of them are teas or powders, and they do help. I've used some of it. I'm going to be honest, I haven't used all of that. Like, I haven't used cordyceps mushrooms or anything, but I've heard that they can be very helpful. All right, so that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. And now, as promised, I'm going to do a brief healing story from the Bible, and it's found in John chapter 5, verses 2 through 9. And I am going to read that. And again, this is from the story of the healing at the Pool of Bethesda. Now, I'm going to be reading from the King James Version, and I hope that maybe this will be a blessing for somebody, and as many, hopefully, as possible. That'll give you a little bit of encouragement and hope. So we're going to start with the second verse, and it says, "Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water." Now, before I go any further, I just want to give you the backstory. The Pool of Bethesda, as it was in the Bible, all these people that had infirmities of one sort or another, would gather around this pool, and they would crowd around this pool, and apparently the water would start shimmering or shaking or whatever at a certain point, and their belief at that point in time was that an angel had dipped their wings in the water to stir up the water to make the water move. And they believed that the first person who got to the water and touched the water after that the angel dipped their wings in the water, they would be healed. Now, the Bible doesn't go into any explanation as to whether that was true or whether that really happened or not. I don't know. That they leave that up to us, to, I guess, and biblical scholars to debate on whether or not that's accurate. But anyways, that was their belief. All right, so, "For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. And whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. This was a man who was lame for the minimum of 38 years. More than likely from birth, he couldn't walk. Okay, and Jesus happened to be walking by one day, and the next verse, we're in verse 6 now, says, "When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me." So in other words, every time this guy tried to get to the water, somebody who could walk or at least walk better than him or whatever got to the pool before he did. So every single time, he he was foiled, trying to get to the water. Now, we don't know if the guy had been going there for, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, whatever. The Bible doesn't get into that kind of detail. But you can imagine I mean, I imagine anyways, that if the guy was lame from birth or whatever and saw people around him walking all the time, and again, medicine back then certainly wasn't what it is today with prosthetic limbs and crutches and all that kind of thing. I would imagine that this guy from an early age had gone to that pool, if that was the belief and the rumor around town that this was the place to be to get healed. I would imagine anybody that was sick was there. And again, you got to feel for the guy, because every time he tried getting in the water, somebody stepped past him and got into the water before him. So again, reading verse 6 again, when Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool, but while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. And Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately, not in 5 minutes, not in 20 minutes, not in 2 years, immediately the man was made whole, and he took up his bed, and he walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. Now, that's all I'm going to read about the story of that particular story, but it goes on about the Pharisees and the Sadducees were already plotting against Jesus, because they were, I'm sure you know the story, they were fearful of him because he was teaching, he was doing miracles, and the Sadducees and the Pharisees didn't like that. They viewed it as a threat to their power, their political clout, or whatever you want to call it. And because this was done on the Sabbath, they kind of, weren't that thrilled with Jesus. But that's a story for another day, or a sermon for when maybe one day I'll start doing sermons. Who knows? But for now, it's an encouraging story, because the point is, if you believe in God like I do, I don't believe in evolution or any of that. I believe, and I may lose a lot of viewers or whatever now, but I believe that I didn't come from a monkey. I believe that God created me in the image of him, and he created you in the image of him. And, I also believe that, God knows. There's verses in the Bible where God says, there's not a sparrow that falls that he doesn't see. So that tells me that, he knows you, he knows your pain, you're not invisible. And to me, it's encouraging. Like, he healed back then. That tells me he's still capable of healing today. Now, will he or will he not? Again, that's up for debate too, but that's my take on it. Okay. So there's the story of the man by the pool. And, when it said, Rise, take up thy bed and walk, the guy had a mat that he was sitting on or laying on that they considered a bed, I guess, or called it a bed. But anyways, moving along, the point, like I was just saying, is you are seen and you can rise, Friend, listen, if you've been dealing with pain for years, you aren't forgotten. Jesus saw that guy by the pool, and he sees you too. You're not invisible, and you're not beyond healing. And it is not too late. Okay? All right, so that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully, this was a blessing to somebody, if not all of you that watch this. I hope it is. And I want to just thank you for joining me today on Life After 55. And if this video helped you or was a blessing to you or whatever, which again, I pray and hope that it was, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use some encouragement. And leave a comment or a prayer request below. I mean, even if you just want a prayer request for encouragement, you're down in the dumps because you're in pain. Don't be bashful. Don't be shy. I read all the comments and the emails that people send me, and it's it's not like I'm a 20-year-old and I've got a full slate of things I'm doing. I have a lot of time to pray. And I think a lot of you can relate to this. As you get older, you start reflecting on a lot of things in your life. And I think you become more in tune with your mortality as opposed to when you're, 18, 20, 25, whatever. At least for me, when I was that age, I was like, I'm never going to die. Well, the older you get, you realize that's not an inaccurate statement. But anyways, if in fact you need some encouragement, you need some lifting up, or you need prayer for a condition you may have, whatever, don't be bashful. Let me know. Leave a comment. If you don't want to leave it in the comments, send me an email. The email should be down below here, somewhere there. There it is, down below. Should be down there, and you can email me, which is a lot more private than leaving a comment. And don't miss the next episode, because we're going to explore chronic stress and how it affects your health and what you can do about it. Okay. Now, you don't want to miss that episode, especially if you're somebody who's stressed out. And in this day and age, who isn't stressed out, right? There's money problems, the economy stinks, whatever. Your kids, there's a lot to be stressed about, but you don't have to be. So until next time, take care of your body, tend to your spirit, and stay encouraged. Okay. And again, if you need somebody to lift you up or whatever, give me a message, send me a message. I'll be more than happy to pray for you, and hopefully I can be a blessing to somebody out there, and this isn't all for naught. So again, if this helped you or anything, please share it with somebody who might need it, and have a great week. Okay. Now, next week, like I said, we're going to talk about stress and how it affects you and what you can do about it. So let's not miss that episode. And I promise, I will have it come heck or high water. I will have the next video out either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Okay. In the meantime, so long, and stay encouraged.